Hi, Kristin. Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast episode. Really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for your time for joining in this podcast episode. And we're going to have like a lot of chat regarding about your journey, how you overcame the obstacle you had to go through in terms of your life. And yeah, writing your three books already is out. And you mentioned you're going to write on your fourth book and soon going to be published as well. So yeah, before we go into everything else, I'd love to know more about you, like who you are, what you've been up to, and what you've been doing.
hmm So my name is Kristin Beale, and I'm 31 years old now, but my story, I guess, to be cliche, my story started when I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore in high school. Well, I was about to be a sophomore in high school. So it was the summer before my freshman and sophomore year of high school.
Hmm.
Um, and on the last weekend of the summer, I went on a vacation to Lake Aston with three of my friends. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Let me back up. So I was at that time of my life, at the time of summer after my freshman year of high school, I
Yeah.
was athletic. I was on three sports team, competition cheerleading, field hockey, and lacrosse. I had a lot of friends. I had a tan body. I was athletic. I was, I was on top of the world. I was having the best year of my life. And I was so happy. So I went on the last summer before my sophomore year, I went to Lake Aston with three of my friends. Aubrey, who was a friend since I was a kid from youth group, and Field, a guy I had a really big crush on that I met the weekend before, and then Mark, a guy I had never met before. Just that weekend was the first time I was meeting him. And on the last day of the vacation, we went on to two jet skis with Mark driving Aubrey, and then with Field driving Aubrey, and Mark was driving me. So Field wasn't paying attention, and he ran into and on top of Mark and I, and so that sent Mark forward and died on impact because he hit the jet ski. And I was turning around like, what is that noise? Slow down. And it hit me on the side of the head for a traumatic brain injury and the spinal cord for a spinal cord injury, like mid torso.
Yeah.
And so I was supposed to die. So Mark died on impact. He was just in the water and he was already dead. And then I was floating around in the water with a life jacket, and I was supposed to die. I was actually sitting up like I was in a chair, which someone told me, which is kind of cool. But I was floating in the water until the Coast Guards got to me. I was supposed to die, within hours, within days, within a week. They told my parents all those things. And then they said she might live, but she'll be a vegetable because my brain injury. She won't be able to talk or swallow or breathe on her own, or, she'll be a vegetable.
Yeah.
So that's where my prognosis was there. And I'll slow down a little bit.
Also, you lost your friend, right, as well?
Yes. Yes.
Did she die on the spot or like afterwards?
He died on impact. So when the jet ski hit him, he died right there. I'm not saying thank God that he died, because of course I'm not, but it's thank God that he didn't live because there's no way that I say there's no way, but it's a small chance that he would be any kind of coherent, and that he would be a very, very difficult thing. So if he was going to die, thank God it was on impact, I guess is a weird way to say it. But
that was terrible events for you guys. So after you had the injury, like how long did it take to get recover, or like did you have to be hospitalized for a few months? What happened next?
So this was August of 2005. I'm about to be on my 17-year anniversary. August 2005, and I was in a coma, a medically induced coma, just like because my body wouldn't be able to handle the shock of my injuries until about October. In October, I woke up, contrary to everything the doctors told my parents that was going to happen. I woke up, I had short-term memory loss for about a month, maybe. So one of my first memories was Halloween in the hospital, which was not as fun as it sounds, or just as fun as it sounds. So I was awake. I was talking a little bit. I was, my brain injury made my right side a little bit weaker than my left side. And but I was there. So they told my parents, all right, so my injury, my spinal cord injury is mid torso, right over these rib bones that stick out. They told my parents she's alive, she's doing it, she's talking, but she's not going to be able to feel or move below my injury level not
Yeah.
walking, no more sports, no more, feeling sensations in the bottom of my feet, none of that. So I told my parents that because I was still short-term memory loss. They might have told me that, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so, my life is flipped upside down. So, so I'm back and I'm recovering, and I got out of the hospital December 13th of 2005. And I got out and I went, let's see, they told my parents, and she's not going to move or feel below or injury level. And my parents went into like, God, thank you, God, for them. But they went into like research mode of how are we going to do this wrong? How are we going to make her better? How are we going to, not like get feeling and movement and sensation. So 2 weeks out of the hospital, on January 1st, I was landing in Carlsbad, California for a place called Project Walk, where I worked out 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like, I'd lost my mind. All I was doing was working out, but I came home and I could wiggle my toes and I could start to feel pressure again. So I've been back there for about a month and a half, 9 times since my accident, and I can crawl, I can walk with a walker, I can feel and move a list of things, and feelings and sensations, even 17 years later, are still coming back to me, which is crazy and wonderful. At the same time as doing all that, is living this very like, not even like adult situation, but it was just a very, I had to mature very quickly because I was, keep in mind, I was 15 years old at this time. And I was doing all this stuff, rehabilitating, trying to relearn how to, brush my teeth and put on pants at the same time that my peers are going to prom and they're graduating high school and like signing up for college. So I'm doing both at the same time. I'm doing high school at the same time as I'm coming home and I'm practicing how to, tie my shoe. And then, so I graduated high school. I went to college, graduated college. Like, I don't know how I did it. I don't want to go back, but it's done. And I can move it, like I said, move and feel, move and feel a whole list of things. And I'm working every day, literally every day, to keep getting things back. 17 years later, my bladder sensation started to come back to me last year. I can read my body in different ways. Like I can see I have a spasm in my left leg, so that must mean I have to go to the bathroom. So it's kind of like a little puzzle that's fun to figure. It's never ending, and it's a lifestyle now. It's like keeping my body healthy and active. And so now at this point, I've backing up, I lost all my sports. When I got hurt, I said, not only can I not walk or not run, but I can't cheer. I can't be a cheerleader. I can't play lacrosse or field hockey anymore. Adaptive sports. In 2005, adaptive sports weren't really as popular as they are today. So I didn't know anything about them. And I thought the gym is my new sport. So I spend my life in the gym, and I was always there, always getting in shape. But now I've discovered, I've tried, last time I checked, it was 14 adaptive sports. And I discovered hand cycling. So I've done 14 marathons. And discovered fencing. So I'm a nationally competing wheelchair fencer. So it's like never ending, but it's very fun. And that's a way for me to not have to go to the gym, because I haven't been to the gym in years because it's just so boring. And I'm like, as soon as I found a way to give it up, I found a way to give it up. And so a way to keep myself in shape and keep my mind and my body healthy, and work toward my goal of getting stuff back and walking one day.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, after you've gone through like so many hardship, like going through the accident, and obviously the process is not easy. A lot of people are gonna give up with their life. They're gonna complain. They're gonna do a lot. They're gonna think on the past why that event actually happened. But you did the opposite thing, right? You've written nearly 4 books right now. Also, you're running in a marathon as well, the wheelchair marathon. So how did you come up with the mindset, like never give up and keep moving forward wherever life throws at you? This is our podcast is about, and it was like a great example, like for the podcast. Like, tell us, like, what's the mindset you had in terms of like moving forward and creating and writing the books?
I appreciate you saying that. So my never give up and my keep going mindset came from, I didn't really see an option. And I know that part of it was like, when I say I wasn't given an option, just meaning when I woke up, my parents were already in research and they already had
Yeah.
that going, and they said, the hospital sucks, and you're miserable here, and you're sad, and you're all this stuff, but just like cut that out, because we got to get out of here fast, because we're going to go to California, and like there's stuff to do. And the more time, and so that told me, that mindset was in my head. And so that's saying, all right, the more time I spend sitting around this hospital room, being sad about the things that I lost or I can't do anymore, like my new situation, that's the more time that I waste, going to California, starting my life, and like making this better. So my whole journey, the reason that I have done so much, and that I'm, the happiest person that anyone will ever meet, is because I know what it feels like to be happy. And so I've given myself no excuse for, like, if I can be that happy, if I can be that happy person that I know I can be, because I have been, then why am I wasting time being sad? Or like, I don't like to be sad. I don't like to be like mourning things that I've lost that I can't control. So why am I wasting my time doing that? So then I find, for me personally, I find acceptance in my disability when I got into sports, and when I got my body moving and I was active, just the kind of person that I am. And so I said, all right, how can I do this? How can I get active again so I can be happy? And it was the blessed gym for so many years. And then I found sports, and then, that's my real happiness. So it's really just not settling for not being happy, which sounds so basic, but it takes a lot of work. And it takes a lot of, there are sad times, and there are bad days, and there are down days, but that's why it takes so much, I guess, persistence to know myself well enough to say, I'm better, like my life is better than this. I'm better than this. I'm not going to be sad or upset or, whatever, because it's just a waste of this beautiful life.
Yeah. It is like seeing like how's everything are right now in the present moment, and just accepting it, like whatever happened in the past. And then what you can do right now at the moment, and think about the future rather than dwell on the past, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of also when I woke up, I'm calling it woke up, came out of my coma in the hospital, I was very surrounded by family and friends that were encouraging me and supporting me, but also, I can't tell the story without saying also, like, my faith in God, and just knowing, like, there's more to this, like there's more to life, and there's more to, like, my situation. There's something good is going to come out of it. I don't know. At the time, I'm like, I don't know what the heck it is, because my life feels like it's over. But being dramatic, but I was just surrounded by such positivity and such like hope and such faith that it's not, I didn't allow myself, and I think the other people around me wouldn't have allowed me to just say, I'm done. I'm just going to sit here and, eat food and get fat and, do nothing, because that's just not acceptable for me. And then I don't think they would have let me do that either.
That's a great thing. Like you never let the negativity cripple you in a way, and the mindset. His mind is everything, and you controlled it really well, and I congratulate with that. And you have written 3 books already. One is about to come soon, like you mentioned. But let's talk about one of your book, which is A Million Sun. And what's it? I'd love to know more about what's the book about, and so our audience can know, and they can get a copy of it at the end of the podcast if anyone's interested.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you about A Million Suns by telling you about Greater Things. Greater Things is my first book. And that is about, like, the weekend before, where we meet this guy I have a big crush on. The next weekend he hits me, kind of like all through high school and college, and kind of struggles and things I'm doing with adaptive sports and traveling and everything. And so that kind of shows, my dog is scratching. That kind of shows the struggle and the pains and sorry, my dog is scratching. The highs and the lows of my disability, and the struggle of it. So that book comes out, and it shows kind of not the day by day, but the highs and the lows, like I said. And it was very dramatic. And there was a lot of sadness in there, and there was a lot of happiness, because I put humor in my recollections of stuff going on. But there was a lot of sadness, just because my situation was very sad in the beginning. So that book came out, and that's a really good one. But then it wasn't as reflective of my life and my attitude right now. So A Million Suns, I wrote that one in 2019 was mostly when I wrote it. and it's more reflective of how I am now in my situation. So I'm trying things. I'm trying sports. I'm trying modeling. I'm trying like going overseas to do different stuff. And it's more, the whole theme of the book is finding my passions that I lost with
Right.
my disability.
Yeah.
So that is sports. That is my husband. Story there. We have a story about my dog. You know, there's there's a little backstory between all those. So it's more of like, it's more reflective. You could look at it and say it's bad, she can't do all these things, but then you read A Million Suns and you're like, oh, but she's actually like so happy, and there's so much cool stuff you can do in a wheelchair, and like, you know, there's like, it's all the very cool and interesting angles versus like sad, sad, sad. But it's more of like happy and opportunity, and that's really cool. Anyway, so that's the message that I hope to put across with Million Suns is life is not over. In fact, it's a little bit better.
Yeah. So how many chapters in there in the Million Suns?
Good question. I think it's like 18 or 19.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the first chapter is about? So we can touch on a little bit so we get how audience get a rough idea.
Well, the first chapter, the very first chapter is kind of a quick refresh of like this, in case you don't read Greater Things and you jump right into A Million Suns. So it's kind of like in summary of who I am and what happened to me and why I have the ability to talk and how it is. And then I think once we get into it, I think I start off with a sport. Shoot, I think it's like rowing, because I was on the crew team, the adaptive rowing team, for 4 years. Not necessarily because I like the water or I like to row or anything, but mostly because my instructor was very attractive and I got to see him once a week at practices. So that's why I did that. So I mean, so then I would have like a regatta, like a rowing competition at the end, and it's all just like, I mean, you see it and you're like, oh, cool, she's doing stuff, like she's getting out there and she's rowing and all that stuff, but you read the chapter and you're like, oh, but it's because the instructor is just very attractive and like she wants to go on a date with him. So it's kind of like there's a lot of angles, and it's very much the books kind of very much display like, here's I'm this label of different, and I have all this going on that you can't necessarily relate to. But then you read the book and you're like, oh, but she's just like me, and she's just a person. She's a normal person. She's just sitting down. Like she has the same like kooky or silly or dumb or whatever thoughts that I have, but she's just like, you know, dealing with a few other physical things than I am. So that's the big umbrella topic theme that I put across is like, I'm just like you. I'm just have a few more things.
Yeah, that's great. And when did the book came out? What was it, last year?
A Million Suns came out in 2020. It was 2017. My middle book is Date Me. It's about dating in a wheelchair. And there is an episode 1 of the TV show based on, it's a comic book about dating in a wheelchair. Right. Episode 1 on YouTube of a TV show based off of it. It's very fun. That came out in 2018. And then A Million Suns came out in 2020.
Pandemic book, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
So, kind of dipping toes and all that.
Yeah. So yeah, and those who's listening, like many people are going through like a certain obstacle they have to go through, unexpected event happen with them. Probably not like yourself. Could be like they lost their loved ones. Could be they gone through kind of accident, or could be like gone through the relationship, or like not feeling themselves motivated and how it should be. So what would be your advice in order to being happy and also like keep moving forward and staying positive all the time?
Mm-hmm. This is an easy one for me. I've thought a lot about this because I've thought a lot about Kristin, why are you how you are today? Which is like so happy, satisfied, and everything. And it's because so my advice and my answer is trying things even though you don't think that you're gonna like them. Trying things to find your happiness. It's all in search of happiness and what makes you happy. Fencing, for example. If you know me, which you don't, but maybe you can tell, I am like the sweetest, most docile person you're gonna meet. But then I get an email to try fencing, like with the swords. Like that's, you know, the most opposite of me, but I'm gonna try it anyway, like just for the story and whatever. And then I try it, I love it. But it's just like the pursuit of trying stuff, even though I'm like there's no way I'm going to like fencing, but then I end up to be loving it. So just trying everything to see what makes you happy, and being okay with letting things go, like with stopping things or not spending your time on stuff that don't make you happy, but just think about, what do I need to be content mentally and physically, and just getting it done for yourself, kind of demanding that your life is good, and demanding that you're happy with what you do and who you put in your life too.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate that. Oftentimes, like life throws up things and we dwell on it and don't appreciate what we have. Like the last few months back, like I was really, really ill, diagnosed with the IBD, and I was like, I was in bed and couldn't really walk, couldn't really talk properly, and everything's going on. Like couldn't really focus on my business, couldn't really focus on my child. And instead of like focusing what I have, I was just focusing on like the problems I had, and that was like a worst moment. Even though in past I had so many events, but actually when it got to me physically, this is the first time I was like really, really ill in my life and couldn't really react to it. And first 4-6 weeks, it was really, really hard. Like again, to have the kind of mindset. As soon as I started getting better a little bit, and then mindset starting getting to change. But that was like a tough time. Like no, a lot of people, even though you're strong mentally and everything, but certain events gonna hit you, and it's not easy to get out of it. And only person is can help you is you, because I know my wife is so supportive with that, and she's been telling me, my sister and everyone. But I wasn't listening to any of this. I was just listening to my inner voice and keep on getting scared and keep on getting like having negative thoughts all the time. And I had to step up and saying like, I have to take my own responsibility in terms of like managing my own mindset and move forward to it. So yeah, I really appreciate your advice on that as well, Christine. So
It's so easy to do what you just said you do. It's to slip into like a pity, or like a why me, or like I'm just gonna, nothing's going good and not going well anyway, so I'm just gonna like be here. But it's what you say of just step up, and you gotta just take it by the whatever shoulders, and just say, this is what I need to do, like this is what, and just thinking about like, this is how happy I could be, or like this is how my life could be, or and just making it happen for yourself. It's just stepping up, like you said.
Yeah, definitely, totally agree with you. So yeah, Christine, we're coming to the end of this podcast. So those who's listening, if anyone wants to grab your book and learn more about you, what's the best place to find you?
Definitely. So I'm on Amazon, Greater Things, A Million Suns, and Date Me. And those are all on Amazon. You can get those there. But on my website, if you order it from my website, you can watch a short video. You can sign up for my weekly comic strips. And that's KristinBeale.com. And I guess that'll be like in the show notes or something. And then also I'm on, I'm going to kind of mix it up here. I'm on Instagram. It's Kristin Gupta, Gupta, because that's my married name. I got married last year. So Kristin Gupta for my personal, and then, if you want to get my weekly comic strips, it's Greater Things Comics on Instagram.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming to this show and giving your valuable time. So I wish you best of luck with your career and your life as well, Christine, and you have a wonderful day ahead.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. So that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. You know how to find Christine. Go visit our website and grab a book from Amazon, and also you can get from our website as well. The best place to get from our website. And sign up for her newsletter and follow her on social media platform like Instagram. So I'll talk to you in the next episode. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and take care.